Hello and welcome to Design Boss Dialogue, the podcast where bold and ambitious women in interior design come for real conversations to transform and take their businesses to new heights. I am your host, Lisa-Marie Elkhadraoui, interior designer and business mentor, here to share my experiences and insights into running an interior design business, as well as empowering you to build the confident, profitable design business you've been dreaming of and truly deserve. In this space, we blend creativity with strategy to help you craft your success and thrive in the world of design. Every episode is packed with unfiltered, no BS conversations, daily inspiration, and actionable business tips to turn your passion into a thriving, cash-rich business. Together, we're redefining what it means to succeed in the interior design industry, one intentional, game-changing decision at a time. So get ready to step up, elevate, and create the design empire you've always envisioned. Welcome back to another inspiring episode of the Design Boss Dialogue Advent Calendar podcast. It is day 19, and over the festive period, we will be unwrapping gifts of wisdom, practical tips, and insider secrets to help you grow and thrive in the world of interior design. And today, we are delving back into the world of home renovations. And I am joined by Jessica Ruth Smith, founder of Studio Smith Interiors and Curated Spaces. Jessica's mission is to empower UK property renovators and support them eradicate overwhelm and fatigue with showing them how a renovation should be done at their own pace with her latest design service, Curated Spaces. And we are talking about the power behind careful floor planning, the power of dimensions and proportions that need to be considered, and how to get creative with paint. Welcome, Jessica, to today's podcast. I'm so excited to have you on to talk to you about your journey into the world of interior design, as well as your latest product that you've been creating, which is Curated Spaces. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Good. So I'm so excited to delve into this because I feel like I've been on a little bit of a journey with Curated Spaces with you. And I'm excited to share this with the world. But talk to me about your journey into the world of interior design.
So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't linear. Like, I didn't know exactly that's what I wanted to do. I sort of bought a house and then struggled renovating it. I was like, this is actually really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting the finished quality that I want. I have to go and look for answers, basically. And then, obviously, I came across interior design and it changed my world. When I say changed my world, it was like incredible. So, yeah, that's been my sort of journey into it. And then I went to the National Design Academy and did the diploma. So, yeah, it's been a very exciting journey.
I love that. So talk to me a bit more about, with your renovation, obviously you said like it wasn't easy and, you know, you needed to get the finish that you wanted to get. Talk to me about the pitfalls that you've come across doing your own renovation yourself.
I feel... So it's one of those things that so few people have the privilege of buying like a finished house. You know, if you want to get on the property market, you have to sort of buy something that's maybe not as loved as other houses might have been. And particularly, I think that with older houses, so ours is 1900, so Victorian, every single move we made, it set us back maybe 4 or 5 steps. Like, the walls were all disintegrating. Every time we took a light out, all of the plaster would fall down. It felt like,
oh God,
almost like a bit of a running joke. Like, we're never going to get anywhere with it because, yeah, just loads of bits and pieces kept happening. And I thought, God, if we're having this must be an issue that so many people are facing, just not knowing where to start, not knowing how to deal with the problems that come up. Yes, it's not easy renovating at all.
I think it's, people go into it looking at, oh, there's so many great DIY shows, it can't be that difficult. And like you say, when you start stripping walls back, you start finding problems, and you don't realise the amount of money that goes into behind walls with the contingencies. And like you say, you take something down and then you're 4 steps back and you're like, oh, I never thought about this. I never thought about this. And for a first time renovator, you find yourself opening multiple cans of worms and then having to, you know, put that back together and do this and hire this person in or talk to this person. How easy was it for you to kind of go and find the information that you needed for your own renovation?
Not easy. And I think that's partly what's led me into the route that I've taken within my own business, because I don't know how well supported. I think it was a room by room renovation approach that we had to take. And I see it a lot in Facebook groups, and I see it a lot even with friends and family. Like, their approach to renovating isn't fast paced. It's not quick. It's slow and steady. So I think, yeah, that's what sort of led me into this new product service. Yeah.
So talk to me more about Curated Spaces, because it has come off the back of you doing your renovation and all of the amazing knowledge that you've had with your renovation of what you've done to your own beautiful home.
One of the real game changers was that interior design is so much about having a plan. The sort of initial work that you do on figuring out how you use the space and how best to live in the space actually informs so much of the next processes. So I think when I figured that out, and you write it down as well, like writing it down is so helpful because you have an actionable plan.
Yeah.
Rather than it sort of just feeling like it's away with the fairies, you know, if you're not writing things down.
I think it's also with renovating, when you actually physically have a plan and you're working to an end goal and you're understanding, it helps you a lot more. And I know with Curated Spaces, like you say, it's that entry level work that you do with really understanding what do you want to get out of this renovation. If it's on a slow, steady room by room basis, how do you want that room to work? Because we've spoken a lot about floor plan layouts. I'm very passionate about everything has a place. Talk to me about the benefits of having a really solid floor plan layout and how that transcends into Curated Spaces as well.
It gives you a sort of step-by-step goal, so you know what moves you need to make. And by that I mean you actually know which professionals you need to contact. You don't need to reach out to people that you aren't going to gain anything from. You know, if you want to take a couple of walls down, then you know immediately that you need to reach out to a structural engineer and a builder. So it gives you this really tangible plan to move through. And one of the things that Curated Spaces does is I give 2 options, and it's been a real interesting point because some people haven't quite got it, but because it's room by room, your circumstances and your budget might change. So there's a more reserved option, and then there's this bougie option.
I love that.
Actually, you can look at it and go, well, I know I want to invest in that bougie kitchen because that's me, that's how we live our life. So it's giving you, there's never just one, so it's giving you an option of investing a little bit more or making the most out of certain spaces.
I love that, because I think spatial planning it's often sometimes really overlooked. And when people go into renovations that may not have done this before, or are not classically trained, or that have been doing it for a long time, they don't see the possibilities. They can't see beyond the 4 walls. They can't see opening up spaces. And they look at space completely differently. They have an idea of potentially how they want to live their lives, but actually understanding the permutations and the possibilities that can go with floor planning and spatial planning is actually quite a superpower that we call in the interior design industry, isn't it? And it's one that you do really, really well. And I love on your grid, your stories of actually showing what can be done and what can't be done. Talk me through, for interior designers, if you were to give a top tip on floor planning and spaces for someone starting out, what would that be?
I would definitely say take it off the computer. I find I'm at my most creative when I'm just scribbling. I have these really, they look really scratty, but they're these like tiny little floor plans, and all of a sudden this house looks minuscule, but it just gets your creative juices flowing. And you're off the page. And I often think I might go through 10 and then I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I know where that dining room table should go now, because that's the best place for it. And it's just that sort of floor plan is in your head again and again and again. I would definitely say take it off the screen, get it onto your table.
I think that is also it's a really good piece of advice, actually, because in the early stages of floor plan layouts, what we do is when we get the architect's drawings down, yes, obviously, we look at it on the screen just to check all the other stuff that goes with it. But when we want to be at our most creative, we get a pencil and we start scribbling. We have multiple copies and we think, oh, can you do things there? What about that? Would that work? And then obviously you bring it back onto the computer and then you realize, actually, that's a really good option. And that works really, really well from a spatial plan to look at, because I think sometimes designers can get really stuck with, they just get it up in front of them on the computer and they're like, what now?
Yeah.
And it's also that journey, like you say, when you're cooking dinner, it just comes to you. It really does, doesn't it? Like you're out walking the dog, you're out going for a run, you're doing food shopping. I mean, I've been in the weirdest places. I've been in like my son's nativity play, doing a food shop, being in town, paying something in at the bank. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got it. And like the other person looks at you and goes, you're a bit weird. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's just a private joke in my head, but I've got what I needed to do on a floor plan. And it's taking yourself out of that situation as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the amount of voice memos I've got from walking in the park, so many little voice notes of like, oh, this is what you could do, or this is it, this is the solution. So yeah, and I think as well, the more you do, the more you not inherently, but you sort of understand what the measurements need to be, and that will come with time. At first, obviously, that's really, really hard, and you can't look at a floor plan and immediately know that. But the more that you do, you think, oh, well, I know I need 400 between the coffee table and the sofa, and recommended. So it all sort of sinks in over time, and you'll just start to remember it.
I think one thing that's really helpful, that helped us in our business as well, is having a bank of dimensions of standard sizes, that when you're designing, there's always standard sizes. And obviously you can go above and beyond with that, but you don't go under that. And that's really helpful, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Particularly if you're working to, if you're working to a budget, you have to think, well, is it worth the extra 150 centimetres for that sofa when it's going to end up going bespoke? Is that worth that investment for that person, or is actually there a better way to spend that money in that budget? It's good to get sketching because those conversations come up rather than just automatically assuming that that's the best move.
You love period properties, and it's something that you're very passionate about. Talk to me, why period properties?
I think mostly just because I had one and I've experienced that gut-wrenching feeling when you take down a light and realise, I'm never going to be able to get that back up now because all of the blasters disintegrated behind it. So things of like, they're amazing, but they're also incredibly thankless.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. But I think there's also a lot of work that goes into them, and so much design can support that so much. It's simple things like sockets being in the complete wrong way and light switches always in the wrong places. But I think there's something about period homes that you just can't, you can't get from anywhere else. It's just incredible.
I think they come with so many beautiful features that actually, sad to say, it's a bit of a dying breed in the UK, with the UK housing market, that now with development and mass development, we're moving away from that craftsmanship, which is really sad, because there's something really beautiful about stepping into a period property and seeing either the retained features or features that have been crafted in a way to be put back that's going to live there for another, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And I certainly know when I go down to see family in London and they live in these beautiful Victorian properties that are still retained today, and you step in, I always say to my husband, wouldn't it just be so beautiful to buy a Victorian house in London? And he kind of looks at me going, don't have the bank balance for that. But it's just, there's something so beautiful. Like, it's breathtaking, isn't it? When you see the tall ceilings and you see the coving and you see the Victorian tiled floors and the high skirtings and the doors and the door handles and the lights. And we've obviously spoken over the last couple of months in depth about seeing people that has renovated and done things so wrong. And I know we were talking about light fittings and ceiling cornices. Talk to me about where you've seen things go wrong and top tips of just not to do certain things.
One of the books, and it's a strange topic until you sort of explain it. People are a bit like, what? I don't really get that. But one of the books that supports renovators and created spaces is Scale and Proportion, because the ceilings, in some houses they're 3.3, 3.2, which is so
huge.
Big,
yeah.
Huge. A standard new build is...
It's like 2.45, yeah. 2.3. Yeah, they're getting smaller.
They're getting smaller, yeah. So you walk in and all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness. And I've seen a girl being like, I've bought this drop pendant and it looks ridiculous. And she was like, but I can't figure out, I think it was in a Facebook group, why it looks ridiculous. And I was like, okay, yes, this is the key. This is going to be a really interesting one. And obviously that would be absolutely fine in a 2.5 meter ceiling. But it looked tiny. So I was like, you need to almost double it, if not more. Get this bigger light. And she was like, oh, of course. Like, that's it. So, yes, it's the added layers of complexity that you just don't think about that make even buying a light harder.
I think it's also, like you say, it's taking into consideration when everything is magnified in size. So you've got your taller skirtings, your taller ceiling heights, your taller doors. You have to almost double your furniture. In some spaces where you have very large Victorian rooms, it's like, well, a standard sofa is going to get absolutely lost in that space. A standard light fitting that you might buy, I don't know, I'm just winging it out there and saying Habitat, that's a 40 centimetre diameter, that's just not going to work. It's going to look like you've stuck a pea to the ceiling. You've got to go bigger. You've got to go oversized. And when you're renovating and then you're looking at the finished product, people don't often look at, okay, well, we've got to double up on measurements with our light fitting, and actually double the light diameter is going to cost double the bucks. So then they settle for something really tiny and minuscule.
I think it happens with bathrooms a lot. I see, I've decided to do a series on bathrooms for my sort of fix my floor plan, because you see these really big bathrooms and they've got this sort of 900 by 900 shower, and people say, oh, I don't understand why it doesn't look right. And I was like, oh, no, I really do feel for you, because it's not easy. And also, you're right, it's double your budget. You're going to, if you want that to look really special, which potentially you've bought this house, you're going to have to invest, double if not triple for the shower to look right. It's so crazy, really.
And it also comes down to, I'm going to use prime example with your paneling behind you, because when you've got paneling in a new build and your ceiling heights are at, say, 2.45, you can get away with maybe like 82 centimetre high panelling or 85 centimetre high panelling with a dado, if you've got a 3.3 metre high ceiling, you're all of a sudden going to have to whip that panelling even higher. And if you can get off the internet standard size panelling, which you can, which is obviously for new build, normal ceilings, you're going to then have to go to bespoke panelling. Bespoke panelling costs money. So it's all these tiny little things that have a huge knock-on effect that panelling can all of a sudden throw your budget out. And then you're like, well, we've blown all our budget on bespoke panelling, so now we can't do this. So the one thing I love about Curated Spaces is the books that you create really guide people through making those right decisions, and they're so informative. So just talk me through, when someone comes to you that wants to buy a product from Curated Spaces, what do they get?
So it's on a sliding scale. Originally, you've helped me build this, how it looks now, because originally I thought, oh, I could just do one and it would be, you know, whole of house. But actually it's become a sliding scale, which is brilliant, because it means if it's just a kitchen extension, I can help, or if it's just a bedroom, I can help, all the way up to the whole of home. So it's 2 layout options, and as I said before, one of them is slightly more reserved and another one is always going to be a slight, bougie, because, you know, you're not going to an interior designer for nothing, are you? So you want to be able to see what's possible. And also by seeing it, I think that really helps you decide, oh, well, I think that might be worth the investment, you know? So that really helps with that conversation, and it helps couples decide which to sort of go through with. And then it's a 9 sample curated whole of home color palette. So there's 6 in the shop at the moment, and I want to obviously make more, but the whole sort of purpose behind them is that the hard work's been done for you. You don't have to order a million samples. You can just order these 9 pots. And in that book, it's talking all about how it's been created for you, how you can use it in your own home, and little tips and tricks that I've sort of developed over the years. And then books on budgeting, scale and proportion, and the power of paint, because as much as it might seem simple, you can do so much. You know, if your budget isn't that you can have really impressive paneling in every single room, then this book supports using paint cleverly and how you can use it to influence how the space feels, basically.
I think for anyone that's renovating that has no idea where to start, having a support system like this where they can buy, where they're getting first-hand information, not only from someone that's been through a detailed period property renovation, but then has looked at the journey that the person has needed to take and given all the information. It's almost like handing someone all of the answers on a plate and been like, take all of this, because this is going to help you get so far, and you're going to be able to do your renovation twice as fast because I have all this information for you, which is amazing. And talk me through with Curated Spaces, where do the prices start to and from?
So for the entry point, it is $449. I think it's a really good starting point because it's actually quite a big space that you can get for that price. So it's all on a square meterage basis. And then, you know, the average sort of 2 up, 2 down house is around about 88 square meters. So that's actually, our houses are quite small in the UK.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So actually if you look at the investment, it's just been spread out. And then it's all the way up to, you know, it might be a 6-bed house, and that's 2,699. So.
Yeah. So there's something for everyone in there that's doing a renovation, whether it's a period property or a house in general. And you provide all these amazing books off the back of the service as well, which I love. And talk to me about, if you were to give 2 top tips to anyone listening that was doing a renovation, because I always like to close the podcast in someone giving their knowledge and their tips across. Talk to me about what you would give to people starting a renovation or through a renovation or renovation in general.
I think it's okay to take your time. I think there is this pressure that comes from yourself and from external sources of like, oh, are you still doing that? And I think that's absolutely okay to take your time. And I think another one potentially might be just live in the space first before you do anything, because I actually think things that first really bothered you might find they don't bother you in a year's time, and things that you really liked when you got into the house, they will potentially annoy you a little bit more. So it's all about how you use the space, and taking your time, I think is definitely the one I would say.
I love that. So I'm going to put your Instagram handle of Curated Spaces in the show notes. So for anyone that wants to check out Curated Spaces, which are aimed at anyone doing a renovation, please go give Jessica a follow, because this product is absolutely amazing. I've been so honoured and lucky to watch it be curated and support Jessica on her journey creating this amazing product. Thank you, Jessica, for coming onto the podcast and telling us all about Curated Spaces.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing.
You're welcome. What an amazing conversation. I love that Jessica, off the back of her renovation and her knowledge and expertise, has been able to create a product to support UK property home renovators, make it easier for them. Amazing. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, where I talk about empowered pricing and how to elevate your design business. We're going to be jumping back into how to stop operating from a place of fear, understand the true value of your design work, and confidently set your prices to reflect that value, as well as giving you a few tasks that I've taken from the way I teach in my mentoring framework to support you in your pricing journey to start to lift the overwhelm. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Design Boss Dialogue. If you love what you heard, then please share the podcast with your friends and any women that could do with a dose of empowerment just from me. I would love to hear your thoughts around today's podcast with your key takeaways and wins, because your feedback means everything to me. Also, don't forget to leave a review as well as hit that follow button so you never miss out on any inspiring conversations with me or any other trailblazing women I have on. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes, and remember, unleashing your inner design power and unlocking your true potential is only a click away. See you next time.